Hi, English 149. This is Grant, and I just want to give you a quick introduction to what we're going to be talking about in Lauren Grease's book, what new materialist visual rhetorics, what that is exactly. Um, the reason why I've given you this book is a couple reasons. First is this is probably the most influential book in visual rhetoric published in the last 10, 15 years. And the second part is I think it's a really good example of what good academic writing is. It's not overly jargony. It's pretty clear, but it uses a lot of what we would call they say statements. You'll see she cites a lot, and she's bringing in a lot of different theorists and other scholars into the conversation. So, she's focusing on Shepard Fairey's Obama Hope poster. And at least for me, I'm most familiar with Shepard Fairey for these Obey posters, which, if you've never seen They Live, it is a fantastic movie about what ideology is. But he's taken it from this movie about ideology and then kind of refashioned. He oftentimes says he links his work with Heidegger's concept of phenomenology, which all you really need to know about that is he's really concerned about authentic natural things. The way in which, you have architecture that's meant to kind of break down and become nature. You want to live your most authentic life, right? That's what Heidegger was all about. So, she kind of asks Shepard Fairey, well, why did your Obama Hope image go viral? And I really like her epidemiology example in the book. I think it's good to kind of think about images and viruses, especially in the age of COVID, and how they kind of spread. But, she kind of points to this interview that Fairey had about, he thinks the images go viral because it's highly desired and admired. And then to make sure a broad audience has access to it, and it can be redistributed. I think Greece isn't really sold on this idea, right? And this is where she talks about new materialism. So this approach has two things. First, it's all about how humans interact with the image, and then how technology gets figured into that. And in her new materialism, which is, I think she states, is pretty hard to pin down, it's pretty much like to think about things outside of human perception. There's this, we call them post-humanist turn, and it's really to think about what does the world look like without human perception, and what do images or things, how are they constructed on their own? So she's trying to look at, beyond what Shepard Fairey thinks of this design aspect and the platform aspect. She wants to look at the image on its own terms. And this is where Berger's going to help you, is really looking at those images and the kind of vignettes in them, rather than this kind of sociological, anthropological viewpoint. So I hope that's helpful. We're going to go over this in the next couple of weeks. But this is just to give you kind of a small introduction to what we're talking about here.